all this digital stuff. And should we have the board of directors learn Python? And I said, why Python? Well, because everyone's talking about it so much. And I said, okay, that's interesting. I said, no, I don't think they should learn Python. They should learn not to fear Python. Like a snake, right? Don't fear the python. And he goes, well, how would we do this? And I go, I don't know. Let me think about it. I have a friend, his name is Sam. When he was 16, he graduated from university. He went to Berkeley to get his PhD when he was 17, and he got his PhD in computational quantum chemistry. He's also good at Python. And I called him up and said, Sam, I got this interesting dilemma. Would you like to work with me on this, with this multinational? Got an idea. So here's the idea. The classic INSEAD. Boil it down, right? If you get someone from high school and they go to a computer degree, they might spend a year maybe learning the basics, let's call it that, of computers, right? Computer program. And then they get to the intermediate level, and then at the end, this is where the ML stuff, the machine learning, awesome stuff here, right? It's just amazing what you can do. So I said, hey Sam, can you figure out the minimal amount of code, the absolute minimum, to get people to the next level? And he goes, oh, that's interesting. Let me think about that. So he started working on it. Turns out that it's about 35 minutes if you're a programmer with some experience, 55 minutes if you've had some heavy drinking the night before. That's what I've been told by my executive MBA students who I asked. Okay, then the next level. How much do you need minimally to get enough support to get you to the next? This is about 4 hours of work. What you're doing is accessing libraries, like how to plot data, how to do a factor analysis, how to do certain basic kind of things. You're learning how to check out a book and open it and read a book, close the book and put it back. So it's a basic idea of learning the environment, about 4 hours. I call this stuff to my MBAs, I call this foreplay, right? You have to invest a little bit. This is pure sex. Once you get to that level, people go, oh my God, this is easy and free. So I offered it for the first time in our core course at INSEAD. Never done it before in marketing. It was called Gemba, Globally Executive MBA program. And people started, 2 or 3 startups right after the course based on this. They didn't realize it was that accessible. Another person said, I would have never, my team, this was someone working for the United Nations, said, if one of my team members would have said, well, let's just do a Python algorithm to try it, he would have just said, no, not Python. He'd never seen it before. But then once he realized what it is, this is, okay, let's do this Python thing. It opens people up. Now, here's a dilemma. That gets you really kind of knowing some cool things out there. Really cool. I can do the same platform in R. No big deal. Same philosophy. Here's what we discovered. You guys know this, who've been working in the field, like Julian back there. If you ask people how many hours they're spending on R or Python, and they're in the AI, ML space, here's the bar chart, right? This is Python. Then you say, how much time are you spending? This is hours. How much time are you spending on R? Yeah, I use R about that amount, okay? Then what's the third tool they use? Typically it's something like a Jupyter Notebook, which is really a way to access Python. So let's put that there. And then they say, I use TensorFlow and a bunch of other cool little libraries that I found online and whatever, but that adds up, that's actually Python. So you see a lot of stuff here in this Python, it's crazy. So what we did is we had the students open up a Slack account. You know Slack, where you can communicate across developers. We had them open a Jupyter Notebook. We had them spin up, each person had their own server, 1,000 server blades opening up, you know, and then they do this platform. Now, this is what people in the profession are used to. Down here is Excel, Microsoft Excel. Now, you look at normal people, just people. one software used is Excel. And down here, barely seeable, is Python and R. So then the question becomes, what can you do to bridge this gap? Because we were given this challenge by this multinational. Check, got that solved. They said, how can I take 1,000 people into machine learning as fast as possible? Well, don't try to do maybe all of this, but why don't we give them an Excel spreadsheet where they simply copy and paste their data, they hit run, it does a cluster factor, whatever, and then it brings it back in Excel, and they don't even need to program. They just need to know what the tool is and how it can be used for segmentation, pricing, position, whatever the subject is. So we created an Excel interface to both R and Python, depending on what the optimal algorithm is for that type of thing. So we had people who had never done regression analysis. Within a week, they were saying, is that a good Gini coefficient on this? You know, are the seeds actually gonna, they started talking like machine learning people in a week. And they off running away doing all these analyses and things. So I'm gonna show you a little bit of the results, and then, if we have time, people talk about how AI has an impact, maybe bad impact, on human resources, right? Maybe a negative impact. I've worked mostly in the area of what if there's a lack of HR? How can we use machines to supplement the lack of people with expertise? There's a third area, and that is how can AI and HR solve HR problems, like this one? And so how do we apply it just directly and feed it back in? So if we have time, I'll talk about that. For the moment, let me just give you an idea about the sociology that happened as a result of this thing. We called it the Good Will Hunting Project. You remember the movie with Matt Damon? Where you had this mystery person solving a mathematical equation on a board, and nobody knew who it was, and it turned out to be a custodian or a janitor? I'm going to need a tech support person here who knows how to push these buttons. Thank you, man. All right, here it goes. We sent it out, that little pyramid thing, just blanket bombed it to 1,000 people. Just see what happened. No human support. Just said, here's a link, here's a password, you have a server. Go for it. 45 points is literally image recognition, neural networks, pattern recognition, boom, hard stuff. And what happened was, the HR people, when they're looking at this, they're going, oh my God, we have that many people who within 7 days got to that level. Then we matched their names with the people with the jobs. None of them were analysts. They were like clerical people. They were like all over the company, just scattered around all over the place. And it was an inundation of 300 people. Got so excited that the CEO decided to give certificates out to people for having accomplished the Python challenge. Overnight, it was like kicking a beehive. The whole company is now buzzing about this crazy Python stuff. Whereas before they didn't know they had this resource. This is for my MBAs who are here, there's a few over here. To get a reaction, this is one reaction from an MBA student who did this little thing. This is the first time we did it at a core course at INSEAD. It was kind of new for us. Hey Phil, I really enjoyed the Python exercise at the top of the pyramid with the ML and the neural net. It's awesome, especially image recognition. After the assignment, I started doing some cool stuff with the Keras, neural nets, random forest, etc. I got some cool results for the oil and gas industry, like predicting my company's stock price. Wow. But I have to answer, this was this morning, I got this email, so I'm going to say, what's the model? It's kind of an awesome thing. So let me if I have 2 minutes, do I have enough minutes to tell you about the idea of this? I could show you the Excel spreadsheets and stuff, but I think this is the more important thing. This little bubble here about, imagine you have a challenge, you have 50,000 employees. You know that you really don't need 20,000 of them, although you don't want to fire them either. Right? What can we do? How can AI solve this problem, right? You could have a catastrophic fixed cost cut. For a lot of people, it would be catastrophic. Or maybe, here's the idea, we have this idea of a step 1. You have a matrix of jobs that currently exist, and you know some of them are going to decline. each job has characteristics of a footpath, right? We know that some other careers in the future are going to increase, plus there might be unknown jobs out here. Question, can we do a mapping between one and the other, back and forth, based on people's preference structures? So they reveal their preferences, and you say, oh, that's interesting. Do you want to be a salesperson, Jason? Jason will say no. But his revealed preferences tells me that he's really into Harleys. And then we then say, you have a job which is visiting every motorcycle shop in the country. Do you want that job? Ka-ching, he moves on, he's happy, profits go up, nobody's actually sacked. It's a pattern matching process. And you'll realize that this matching results in a high probability in one thing, but kind of a medium and average probability in others. It's not deterministic, it's probabilistic. Step 2, you then say, people self-select. You say, hey, why don't you go through a few pyramids and see what you like, just for the fun of it. Some of them are O levels, some of them are A levels, but they're always the minimum just enough. And then step 3, you kind of say, now that you've known enough, why don't you listen to the world's gurus? Think of videos that have been recorded. There's no human teacher in this whole thing. There's no people here. It's all on a hard disk. Why don't you listen to the world's gurus who can tell you the absolute best way to succeed at some of the things you think you would like to do? So I'd like to be a professor at INSEAD. Okay, after 30 years of being at INSEAD, number 1, humor. Number 2, a little bit of content. Number 3, self-deprecation. It doesn't matter if you use PowerPoint, by the way. So you listen to the world's gurus in a very condensed, because they won't have 30 years of experience to learn what works or not. Well, let them learn what 30 years of experience can tell you. And then you do step 4, which is what? A mentoring / apprenticeship / call it a sabbatical for a week or 2, where you get to experience this whole thing so you can validate the model. Now, the key part in this whole thing is this. If you get that wrong, you're going to be steering people the wrong way. All this other stuff is rather pretty straightforward. There's nothing new there. And so what we're doing at INSEAD with one of our multinationals is saying, hey, this is interesting. Are there these goodwill hunting people out there? They're just out of nowhere that might be optimally matched. It's not that you have that's a bad performer on a position. It might be they're just in the wrong position for what they would prefer to be in, and they don't even know, for example, that Python is this easy. And maybe they might think it's cool, for whatever the pyramid might be. And so we're kind of thinking about this new area now at INSEAD, about this kind of, can we use this to solve human resources problems, where it's a win-win. Company profits go up, employee satisfaction goes up, and everybody seems to be more compatible with what their activities actually are. Ding, I just heard a ding. Over. Thank you very much.
Maybe we'll take a question or comment or two. Phil? Anyone?
I'm standing between you and an open bar. Think about it carefully.
Well, while you were saying that, Phil, I was actually running my pattern recognition algorithm on my phone. It told me I need to use more projector, less slides, but I need like you. So let's do our drinks. Before we do, we have some